How's it going? Fox back again. This tutorial today is going to be for this pad. It's one of my own. I've called it a choir pad. You can tell why. It sounds like there's a choir humming. I'm not going to be giving away this patch for free. The reason for that is going to be included in my new Serum sound bank aggression. As you can tell by the name, most of the patches in it are going to be aimed at bass heavy styles, dubstep, whatever, but I'm going to throw a few pads in there, this being one of them. It's probably the best pad I've ever made, if I'm honest. If you think I've made one better, please feel free to remind me in the comments below. But yeah, it's got everything for me. It's got a nice subby layer, it's got a lot of movement. It just seems to fit nice. Anytime I've used it since I made it. Yeah, anyway, as you can tell, I really like it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and show you how this is made. So I'm going to go ahead and initialize it. I'll turn the volume down straight away. So there's a lot of modulation, all mainly just one envelope doing the work. I'm going to set all the oscillators up first, and then I'll do all the modulation at the end so you can really hear what the patch is like without the modulation. So A is a spectral, and it's Reseam S1, which is a seamless one, 1 octave down. Volume on full, 12 voices of unison, detune around 0.3, 0.32, something like that. Starting point 192, 195 for the wavetable. This is just going to create the bed when we add all the effects, the chorus and everything. Oscillator B is one of the analog ones. It's a PWM-DS. Starting point for that's around about 66, 67. We'll keep this one on 0 octave, so they're an octave apart. 11 voices unison for this. 12, sorry, again. Detune, around about the same as Oscillator A. And the sub-oscillator, keep it on a sine wave, 2 octaves down. The volume needs to be on full for Oscillator B. Oscillator sub oscillator, just push it around a little bit, around about 89%. So it sounds like a screechy mess at the minute, and we're going to create a classic sort of pad envelope, or what I use, about 1.5 seconds of attack. Make it quite linear. We want sustain on full and a release of around about 0.5 seconds. Just glides the notes in and then tails them off really gently. I also used a noise source. It was the J106 chorus. Set it to that keyboard tracking thing so it sort of pitches it roughly with the notes that you play. Pitch it up slightly. Volume starting point is going to be around about there. We're going to modulate this later on. Crank the polyphony all the way up. We'll introduce the filter at the end because it's going to have a drastic change on the sound. We're going to go ahead and set the effects up now. We'll go back and modulate any parameters in the effects section later on as well. There's only a couple on the EQ at the end, but so hyperdimension, 7 more unison voices. So this might be a bit CPU heavy, this patch, but you can always bounce it. Sometimes when you use a lot of different effects and stuff inside Serum, it can get a bit overwhelming. So yeah, these settings. now bring a chorus into the mix. Rate, kept it on how it comes as standard. Delay 1, 2, depth, beatback, low pat, everything how it comes, just turned it on. Bit lazy. I then went for a compressor. 11 dBs again, ratio of 2/1. Slacken off the release slightly. Threshold round about -22, -23. I tried this on multiband earlier, it didn't make it sound very good. It made it too high end. Made it too much. Gave it too much high end. After the compressor, we're going to have a reverb. The reason I didn't put the reverb before the compressor is because it made everything a bit too washy, made the reverb too prominent. We've got these new reverbs in the latest update for Serum, which is 1.095B, I think. It's in beta, but we now have a hall or a plate reverb, and you've got an actual decay knob, which is a dream or a must. I don't know why they didn't put it in to start with. So it's going to be on hall. Quite heavy on the mix, about 60%. Spin around about 40. Decay I had on about 5 seconds, and the size around about 54%. EQ now. For the bottom part, we're going to have a low shelf. This is going to be modulated later on. Boost the gain round to about +5 dB. The top one's going to be a high pass filter. You don't want any resonance, or 50%, maybe just a little bit lower, 45%. Starting point for this, we're going to push round to 27 Hz. Keep the gain where it is. This is going to be modulated as well. There you go. It is a pad. Doesn't have anywhere near the movement or the feel that we had in the original. So how do we do that? We're going to introduce a filter. We're going to bring in a normal band 12, which is a bandpass filter. Don't always. As of late, I've been using bandpasses a lot on pads. It just helps centralise everything, keep it nice and compact, and tends to warm everything up. We're going to route A, B, the noise and the sub all through. Can't hear much because these all need to be modulated. I'll set them up how I had them to start with. So, starting point for the cutoff, 25 Hz, no resonance, pan dead center, mix on full, just a tiny bit of fat, 4%, and 0 drive. Now we're going to modulate most of these parameters. Say envelope 2 is the one that does most of the work. You're going to need to control the attack of this corresponding to what BPM you got your track going at. This is at 70 at the minute. Don't ask me why it's at 70, but it is. So we're going to have an attack, a real slow attack. For a 70 BPM, it's going to be 3.4 seconds. However long your MIDI notes are, you want this attack to be. In other words, you can see by the time this gets to the end of this chord, you're going to see it reach the top of this attack curve. Would do if I modulated it on something to show you. So yeah, the attack was 3.34, sustain on 0, decay of 2 seconds. It should never get there if your chords are all the same length anyway, but we'll just set it up how I had it. And then a second release, same thing. Didn't really use any of the decay, sustain or release phase. It was all about the attack. So we use this to modulate loads of parameters. The first one we're going to do is put on the filter. This gives us the main sweepy feel to it. Positive modulation of about 50. You can see by the time it comes to the end of the chord, it's getting to the top of the attack. So it's a constant movement and modulation over the amount you set over the attack time. It's exactly what you want. So if you had longer chords, you'd have to push it out. If you had short chords, you'd have to pull the attack back. So that's one modulation source. This has been used to modulate 12. 2 more on the filter. We're going to modulate the drive. Positive round to about 38. The fatness round to about 25. We're going to modulate the mix of the filter negative. What this does is, as the bandpass is sweeping through, it's going to sort of level off. That's all the modulation for the filter. So we're going to use it to modulate both wavetables. The first one negative round to about dead center, and B negative pretty much all the way back. This is going to control the pulse width of this PWM DS. You're going to see it closing the pulse width up. Also going to use it to control the volume of this chorus white noise all the way around to about 59. So we're getting there. Both oscillator A and B I had FM from sub. Now if you just turn that on like that, it instantly makes both the oscillators sound deeper. But if you then modulate the amount of this to come in over time with an envelope, or if you have it open and get it to close like I did on oscillator B, I had it starting on about 22% and use this envelope to close it off. The opposite for oscillator A, positive, not much, around about 13. So in the effects section now, we're going to use this envelope to push the frequency of this sort of low shelf that we've got. So it's going to boost from the lows and then it's going to push them towards the mids. You're going to see this sort of shelf move across. We're also going to use it to open up the high pass filter, not all the way around full. Positive modulation of about 15, so it's going to move the low shelf along and open up the high pass filter. So we're nearly there. I used quite a rapid LFO to do some modulation as well. Use LFO1, keep it on triangle, pull it down so it's one grid line below halfway. Have a bit of a sweep going in, nice and steady going out. BPM anchor it, set it to triplet, trigger mode to off, set it to 1/16, so it's quite fast. And we're going to use this to modulate a couple of things. We're going to use it to modulate the pan on the filter, so it sweeps it from side to side on the pan of the filter. Also a bit on the resonance of the filter. And last but not least, on the frequency of the high pass filter on the EQ. So drag it, drop it on it, pull this negative. This is what gives us that flutter. I use a modulation on a filter like this quite a lot to add an extra bit of movement, or let's say a flutter as I call it. So yeah, that's pretty much the patch done. The only thing I did is these last three destinations, these ones that are modulated by the LFO, I did the aux source as envelope 2 on all three of them. What that means is that the modulation that we've assigned the LFO to do is going to creep in over the attack time of envelope 2, which is controlling all the rest of the modulation. So it just helps bring everything in slowly. So you're only going to hear that fluttering and the modulation on the pan and the resonance towards the end of the chords. We can control the curve as well. We can bring the curve down slightly, so it will only affect it further towards the end of the chords. Absolutely beautiful. What a pad. Yeah, not afraid to say it probably is one of the best pads I've ever made. The only thing I did, as I said earlier on, is I did try it with the multiband compressor. Not sure if it's any better or not. Definitely deeper with the standard compressor, which I really liked. I really like that subby underlay going for it. But yeah, that's it. What did I call it? Choir pad. I'm just going to call it my best pad. Yeah, if you want it, you got to make it. Either that or wait for my new Serum sound bank to come out. I will be doing sort of a mini competition when this Serum sound bank comes out. I'm going to be giving away 10 copies of this Serum sound bank for free. Stay tuned. It's going to be something sound design related. I might get people to make a pad, considering I love pads so much. Pick the best one or pick the best 10. Yeah, and you can get a copy of my new sound bank for free. So yeah, keep a watch out for that. But as always, thanks for watching. Cheers.